very great moment to thank the 18th International Conference on E-Learning and Innovative Technologies and the local chairs, especially Professor Yu Yuli. Inviting Professor Chang, the person whom I admire so much, and give me this great honor of hosting this session. So thank you both, and thank you for the local chair, and also Phil and Mary. I've heard so much about you. It's so nice to finally get to meet you. Professor Chang is a distinguished faculty member in the Department of Computer Science at National Taiwan University in Tsing, Taiwan. I think everybody knows that. But you probably don't know the reasons why I admire him so much is not simply because of his distinguished achievement academically, but also for some personal reasons. I've known Professor Chang for many years, and when I first met him, it was through a project called Kindle project. That's the reason why I got involved in natural language processing and also use e-referencing tools in my research of intercultural communication. So I consider Professor Chang as my mentor and also a very dear friend. Because of the use of the e-referencing tool, I believe it's a very important factor. Why my publication, my study was published in a very good journal. So by now you should know that I'm giving you time. You should pay very close attention to what Professor Chang is going to be sharing with you, because you'll stay close and you might pick his brain and some of his wonderful ideas. You might end up having wonderful publications. So I do owe you a big thank you, right? Okay, speaking of publications, do you know that Professor Chang has over 150 publications in highly intellectual journals? And he has been cited for more than 1,000 times. Wow. And counting. Indeed. We talk about TSMC's technology in creating the chips is tremendously advanced as others. It's very hard for people to even see the tail lights of TSMC. But for me, they say, you know what? 我早就看不到你的车尾灯了。So he is a person that I respect very much, and his tremendous innovations in applying technologies in language teaching is very much impactful to the language teaching in Taiwan. And I hope that this impact is going to even increase and expand more and more. So I hope that we can hold on to this wonderful opportunity and listen to even more creative and innovative ideas from his talks. He has been creating some very innovative tools to be used in language teaching. To me, in the past, that was almost 20 years ago, it was e-referencing tools. It's a Chinese-English bilingual concordance. And now he has created more tools. And two of the very notable tools is Lingo, okay, and the other one is the Lingo Bright. I think he's going to introduce these two today, and also provide us more creative ideas in using them in teaching and also in research. So now please join me in welcoming Professor Chang.
For those prompting words. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share with you our experiences in applying generative. I have to say generative. Okay. indirectly instead of tool. So I will be talking specifically about the lingo project, the university research evolving commercial product. So I'll be kind of doing some sales pitch. Okay, so what our aim in university or in the company in the industry, our aim is to kind of try to solve language learning problems. So from my perspective, it has to do with kind of shorten the turnaround time. So between students submitting an essay or a student reading an article and getting help, okay, the time, the turnaround time. So it should be as short as possible. And it also has to do with lowering the heavy load of grading essays. Teachers hate to grade essays over and over again, dealing with those adjectives, determinant, preposition, plural, those mundane, common usage. Okay. And also, when students read by themselves to get more efficient with the language, the dictionary, the unknown word, the dictionary we got, tends to get in the way. So it's difficult to get, get smooth spelling. So and most look up dictionary and then read the word. Okay. That is not very productive. So we want to come up with a tool that comes very close to hiring a native speaker as your tutor by your side and offering you all kind of advice while you are writing. So what comes to mind? What comes to your mind? This wonderful tool, this something close to native speakers. Probably ChatGPT, okay? But we want to do one step further, okay? You might ask, how can you possibly do better than what generative AI is offering? You will see. Okay, so our solution is to getting instant feedback to the users, to ease the cognitive load of the teacher, to reiterate what I said, and to improve 4 skills at once, at the same time. Kind of daunting challenge, and we have some advantage. I want to go through all 6 of them. I want to point out one of our secret sauce is digital training. We want to come as close as to what teachers and students experience in real life. Like, especially when it comes to essay writing and grading. You'll see more like that. And we are now, the adoption of lingo is growing, and we are reaching more widely in Taiwan, hopefully even more. Okay. And so we align very closely with the bilingual Taiwan 2030 initiative. So the government spent a lot of money promoting learning English. So we work closely with LPTC and Ministry of Education and the platform they sponsor, School English. Professor Howard Chang will be giving a talk tomorrow about school English. And currently, our system is adapted by National Census University-wide. Everyone has a time. And we also form the partnership with high school, textbook, publishers, and some people. Okay. Now let me walk you through a very brief demonstration. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how what it's like in using our solution to search for reference material, reference information, and then to very high quality material in terms of speaking or reading or writing. So initially, lingual search is developed to search Google web corpus, 1 trillion words. Okay, and we turn that data set into a search engine for searching recurrent phrases. In this example, someone asked me, is it offer later or offering later? Using lingo is very simple to solve the problem. You simply say offer $sign, meaning offer plus something, and then later, and then compare the frequency. Because you have 1 trillion word of data, you get very reliable quantitative evidence of which one is the more commonly used, more fluent. And we now, okay, and the way to operate this search engine is very simple. You simply do keyword and wildcard, and then follow speech. So by combining keyword and follow speech, you can do what is the adjective to describe each. So each is the keyword, and adjective is the follow speech. So this simple design enables you to search useful reference information. Very much like you have a collocation issue, or idiom or things like that. And we currently expand that to the interesting data set of year-old courses. So we have developed this tool using 40 courses, 1,000 lectures, and 225,000 sentences of the speech given in an American university. So people want to teach in English under EMI can learn a lot from this data set. Through the very simple and intuitive interface, you can look up easily. One of the design is what I call it is how to say the search. Okay. How do I introduce a topic, a subtopic during my introduction? Okay. So we design a few kind of intention, and then we kind of preset a few. We arrange a few set of phrases commonly used. We draw these information from Fiverr's paper, lexical boundary. This is one way to use the system, and also, okay, then you can see the 3 most commonly used phrases, which Fiverr calls lexical boundary, to use in your writing your script. And then you can type any combination keyword or part of speech. If you don't know part of the phrase you're looking for, you simply use wildcard. and then you can open one of the phrase font. Look at the sentences. For this particular version of lingo search, all the sentences are from Yale open sources. All 420,000 sentences is yours to search and use. Okay, and then there are two links you can click to get into the material. This thing will take you directly to Yale course website. The other link will take you to Lingo Read, where you will be provided with text-to-speech, dictionary lookup, all sorts of AI assistant. So one of the click will take you here, and on this page you get to see transcript. Okay. These transcripts are not computer generated. It's very carefully prepared with editing. And this is when you click another link, it will take you to Lingo Read. And then you read the text, read the script, transcript. You go to the previous paragraph, next paragraph, the first paragraph, the last paragraph, and some of the functionality I don't have time to go into. You got vocabulary profiling, what words are in the level, in the advanced level, intermediate level, basic level, and looking up words in context and collocation. Through a function you can use. So the last part of the demonstration is writing. Okay. So we kind of you want to write something and you want to get help in editing the essay or a draft. Okay. And our proposition is you don't want to simply output the edited result, because it will be difficult for the user to figure out what part has been changed. Okay. What goes from A to B. Instead, we use a double-space format, which has been adapted by a university professor in grading master's thesis or PhD thesis. So students would print their draft in double space, and the professor will mark between them. And this is by far the best user interface for communication between originally the professor and the student. Now AI and learner. So that is the PC here, here, and way is too simple. If I want to say a little bit more in here, but is too informal, and the AI suggestion is used however. Okay, all these are very good suggestions. And you see, people tend to write using very general terms like go, but here the suggestion is travel. And it's not infinitive, it's ing. Okay. So all kinds of good editing advice can be provided. Okay. So what technology behind all these good results? Okay. But in order to get the good results, you need we write the prompt very carefully. Okay. now we gain a lot of insight into how to concentrate. You don't want to ask ChatGPT to do too much, and you want to choose the verb very carefully. Okay. Improve is not a good word. Good verb. We're currently using improving turned out to be the verb that gives you the best result. So you can do that when you are working on your own working object. But without tool, you also get this very nice display. Constructing your graph and the suggestions offered by generative AI. On top of ChatGPT basic functionality, we added some rules to cope with the kind of lexical choice error not handled by ChatGPT, like big accent. In terms of generative AI or large language models, the data indicate people do speak like that, big accent. Everyone will let you know. But we get other sources like dictionary command error, long-name dictionary command error. And in the dictionary, it said big accent is not okay. So we put a rule in our system and that way. Currently, we are developing 2,000 rules to handle whatever ChatGPT cannot handle. And the list will grow as this product. Okay, this is a closer look at what has been done. Most of the credit goes to ChatGPT. But the visualization is all is done by us. And these are the evaluation of how correct the suggestion is. It's not 100% correct, but it's very close to 100%. Okay, and we compare that with grammar. Currently, grammar still use the old AI, okay, meaning you have a training set of error and correct data. And that kind of data is very limited in size and coverage. But generative AI works in different fashion. Okay, so generative AI outperforms traditional AI. Okay, and the result is like this. So you get a lot of incorrect or misses with grammar. So our estimate is eventually we will get to like 80% correct. And grammar will be around 40%. And this is based on the dictionary. Okay, so it's, to me, it's kind of subject. And one more thing, we now can handle answer Chang. So how do we do it? We do it with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has all kinds of API to handle multi-modality. Write it, type, SAN, or write it in paper, and scan it. One problem, though, the scanning of OCR process will correct part of the error in the process. So, kind of, the learner might think, oh, I did write it correctly. But in the OCR process, it's already been corrected. So we did not get to point out the error. And also we have this design, also inspired by our experience with key correction and explanation. So we think it's not a good idea to give an explanation everywhere when there's an identified error. We want to summarize the whole thing with part of the error. So student learner can review the important mistake they made. Okay. We have still a lot of new ideas in the work. And I'm going to share with you four of our current research. The first one is a dual reader. Okay. This stems from a discussion with the Japanese, a group of Japanese researchers. They have the high school students reading young adult novel. And it turned out half of the students can manage that reading the novel, but half of the students barely understand the novel. And the teacher wanted to point discussion group and not the so some understand the story, some do not understand. So we thought maybe we can use AI to help this situation. Okay, that's the first one. And the second one also comes from a observation of a Japanese university English teacher. Professor Harada told me he saw way too many very angry, happy. Students tend to rely on very to express, kind of intensify the degree without going one step up the proficiency level. Well, let's see what we can do to tackle this problem. So we want to turn wordy expressions into single word, highly concise word. Very, very brief to such experience. The third one is something called grammar rule. Okay. In teaching grammar, we can say, okay, there's something grammar. These are correct and these are incorrect. But if you look at Cambridge University English grammar law, 1,000 and each rule has a proficiency level. So in their view, grammar has to do with proficiency. It has to do with, can you do this? Can you do that? If you can do this, then it's C1 or C2. And I think that a good teaching goal is to get students not just knowing the grammar, but knowing how to express your idea, your information, using a more elaborate, more higher level grammar construction. But how can we do that? That's the question. Okay. Related from wordy to tiny situation is a single word, but it's too simple. Just like what I showed you, go can mean a lot of things, but traveling is more specific. So you want to be specific in your writing. That way you communicate better, and in terms of taking a test, you get higher score. So we want to see how can we show show information of the word that can, and rules, and or conditions that can use to replace a confused word. Okay. So it will give you some screenshot of the result or screenshot of the system we currently developing. This is the dual reader, and the material is from the boy who challenged history. Okay. It's a very well written, very well received young adult novel. So it's good for young adult in America, but probably not so in Japan. Okay, because of the difference in progressive level. So this is the beginning of the novel. We read. It was breakfast like no other until the dishes started to settle. Okay. Some students might find this difficult to understand. So the AI kind of turns like any other, you know, like any other. So everybody is the same. So all are okay. So it's paraphrasing using not necessarily simple words, but kind of better, more understandable. But the word rebel is, if I remember correctly, is C1. Okay, rebel's name and turning to the sounds and motion made by rebel's motion sounding verb. Okay. Right? So here we kind of simplify it using shake. Losing our. We want to try to be lossless. All information we can is our goal, but sometimes we cannot do that. Okay. All the siren hears the morning come. Okay. And the patient is shattered. Okay. All right. So by reading both the original and the simplified version, we can enable the learner to achieve several things. First, it would get through the text quicker. So it's good for extension. So you get, using the tool, you get to read more. And you also have a chance to kind of maybe occasionally, maybe become more and more and look at the author and figure out what the author is doing. Okay. So a lot has to do with method. Okay. So a very good author tends to use a lot of them. So piercing and morning come is not typical combination for it. But it achieves some kind of metaphoric implication. All right. So this is the dual reader. This is the. By the way, I'll say a little bit about how we manage to do that. The way we do that is we look at each entry of a dictionary. And the entry might be a more difficult words. Okay? And it has got definition, the definition can be simple. And it has got also example sentences. So we ask ChatGPT to use the definition to replace the difficult word in the example. Okay, and then we kind of curate a data set of difficult sentences with difficult word to a simplified sentence with simplification of difficult. And Currently, we have 5,000 such data, covering another language data set called English vocabulary profile. And then we use that to fine-tune a generative AI model. So what you have just seen is a model we have developed. This is running on model real time. But before we have this model, we are using ChatGPT a lot. So this is one way to use generative AI. Sometimes people call it distillation. Okay, we stole some data from ChatGPT, and then we use to build our own model. This next work we are currently doing is using a different approach called retrieval algorithm generation. Again, we kind of curate, or we use generative AI to generate a set of data. The data is something like this. These are kind of concise allocation, comments, scrutiny. Okay, scrutiny is a more concise word. But from the definition, we generate something like carefully explanation, and also sentence before and after explanation. And we get a set of not that much, okay, like 10,000, 20,000 data. Okay. And then at runtime, the system will hack the student essays and try to retrieve from these 10,000, 20,000 set of data with wordy and tidy expression and sentences. And when this is retrieved, we added these retrieval to the prompt for ChatGPT to conceive. So here, making a few observations concerning is trying to match this, say something, or carefully examination. This is examination, but there, that's observation. But it's okay with generative AI because generative AI works on word banking. So each word is a 300-dimensional or even higher dimension. And somehow in that higher dimension, examination and observation are close by. So this is considered by ChatGPT as a good example of simplifying that type of information. It doesn't have to be an exact match. Just something close enough that ChatGPT will get a hint and perform highly okay. And we get this example from a university, U.S. university site about avoiding wordy expression. So this is a real test. This is not from our data set. Okay. And this is not cherry pick. I get it last night preparing this talk. So a student of mine he did not know I was going to bombard his system with this real challenge. And I'm happy with it. The solution is not the same as the solution given in that university's website. But this is, it's close enough. Okay, it's good enough. Okay. The third one is grammar group. Okay. So you want to you can input a simple, a sentence with simple grammatical construction, like he was the most beautiful student in your class. Okay? And the system will identify this sentence has to do with adjective, or more specifically has to do with adjective superlative. Okay, and then you will look at the English grammar profile, all 1,200 rules, and try to match those rules to see what are the rules that is close to this sentence. And turn out they are 3 rules. Okay, and if you pick one of the rules, it will perform the transformation. Okay, so the first rule says, if you add, modify by font, then you will get your grammar proficiency way up, like C1 or C2. Okay, so and one of is also one of that's the, and the other one is to kind of give more information, more argumentative structure at the end. Okay, either it's a proper PP or it's a close. It's fine. Okay. Somehow generative AI is able to read the English grammar profile and perform the rule there. So it's not a stochastic character. It's not just repeating whatever said. This is a novel situation. And using EGP to change a sentence is not, you cannot find this very often on the internet. So it's not in the learning or training data of GPT, I would assume, I suspect. But somehow the system is general enough or intelligent enough to figure out how to do it. And through this effort, we are getting more and more, understand how it works. What is the limitation of AI? Can we challenge generative AI with even more difficult tasks? The last one I wanted to show you is confusing words. Good, bad, lot, good, bad, small, things like that. Very general, like beginner level of words. And students tend to forget to start using close words. When they get to the intermediate, like they still use a lot of confusing words. So one way to deal with it is to kind of analyze the learner corpus with annotation. The good source would be Cambridge learner corpus. There's a small data set called CLC FCE, first certificate in English. Okay, it's got 1,000 essays, carefully marked. So you get a lot of these corrections. Okay. Now the challenge is not listing the changes, the edit, without any organization. The best way to use this data in teaching is to organize this into meaningful groups and order. Okay. And you can see that big amount is not good. It should be large amount. Why? Since it has to do with quantity and major. So the same reason like the number of proportion and more words. Okay. We are limited to the data set we have, but this can be expanded to more words. development tend to use grade instead of grade. Okay. Grade development, grade progress, and emotion and experience, acceptance, pressure, fun, and cultivate whether it's grade. In that situation, students are advised to not to use grades. Okay. Conversation and speech. This is just one example. Long conversation, not deep conversation. And there are more, and some can be very idiosyncratic, like big brother is everything. I'm sharing with you, and there's some additional information in the slides, which I'm going to share online. And that's it.
So we open the floor for questions and discussions. Over there. The last one.
These are mostly commercial, not academic references.
Thank you so much for this talk. I have a linguistics and technology background, so I love to see automated writing evaluation tasks. I was just going to ask if you could clarify when you were comparing the Grammarly percentage of about 40% and then this tool at about 80%. Was that like precision or recall or just percentage, other percentages? Because I've seen Grammarly's precision and recall at about 80 to 90 before, so I'm shocked at these numbers.
Okay, evaluation can be elusive, okay, can be, okay, so firstly, what is the test material? The test material is individual sentences, not analytic essay, and it's sample from the dictionary of common error, long-man dictionary of common error. Okay, so it's representative. So it's not distributionally, correct. This is kind of concentrated error. Every sentence has an error. But normally you probably don't have that. So this is under a certain condition. Okay. And it's very objective. Objective. Okay. So if we want to do primary justice, okay, we should have more evaluation, obviously based on individual essay. And as for the lingo part, it's like 70% checking, 10%. But that's an estimate. It's forward. We will be doing that.
Oh, you're estimating.
Estimate.
Oh, okay.
But even if we underestimate, we still got like 70. Still, it's a better solution than buying all the time.
And the estimation would be like for all of the errors in an essay, we estimate that it could detect 80%.
Yeah, so it's more like precision. It's difficult to do recall as you probably know, okay, because people have different opinion about this. So the best is you have a reference key, and then you see how many. It's more like accuracy. Counting all the error, how many have you identified, and give good suggestion.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I think, I believe when you first started, you mentioned that sometimes you can pull phrases that would help you in starting a sentence or something like that. And so my question is, what were to happen if you were to take any of the phrases that you pull from like Yale or other places, if you were to take those, if you were to take your essay or whatever it is that you wrote and put it in a similarity, running through a similarity report, will that show up, or I'm not sure.
Okay. So, if I understand correctly, you are talking about something people have been doing in research. Yes, I have a sentence here, and I have a correctional sentence. I want to find some sentence that is closely related to my sentence. And previously, people do keyword match, and then weighting, which keyword is more important, like TF, IDF stuff. Okay, this is very common, like up and the, and matching does not.
Yeah, that's
That's not important, but for like salient word, then that counts, something like that. But today, most researchers are using vector. So each sentence is turned into a vector, and we compare sentence with sentence in the vector space to find the closest match. Okay, this is not usually done as is. Usually it's part of the system, like in RAG. Okay, so we want to do some task and we want to retrieve something relevant to that task and the input ahead. And then we give that to ChatGPT as part of the program. And then that will enhance ChatGPT's capability to perform, to answer that. So indeed, yes, people are doing that. That can also be a end product, because I write something and I want to see what something people wrote similar to mine, and other people might write better, and I can use that as a learning tool. This idea has been floated years ago in a Greece paper published by a Greek researcher. Yes. Okay. Currently, people are doing like essay scoring, and there are 4 aspects in terms of
Traditional
essay. So if, but professional writers need help in terms of vocabulary and grammar too. But higher level thinking, like organization and content and idea, that is currently maybe I will be wrong in 2 months' time. But currently it's, and maybe ChatGPT is capable of doing part of that, but you need to say it nicely to ChatGPT in order to facilitate that kind of. So that kind of leave some work for the teacher. The sky is the limit. So a lot cannot be done today, but We should push the envelope always. And also culture. Is this culture appropriate? I don't think Gen currently doing that. Right? A colleague of mine writes something in British English, and generally think they are all wrong. British English is wrong. It's very American-centric. Okay. Not to mention other issues like genders and feminists. Yeah. You put in bias in, you get bias result, and it's very difficult to get that out because the strength is there. You get the strength and the bias and the techniques and all that. We are in that situation.